Hey guys, it's Jean and welcome to my new bookshelf setup. It took me over 6 hours to do yesterday. Finally unpacked like over 20 of my boxes. Today I wanted to do my August wrap up. During August I read 11 books. Some were absolute favorites and others not so much. And I feel like I say the same thing every month. So I'll start from my top favorites and then go down to the least favorite. And I hope you guys enjoy my wrap up. My first favorite was Nevernight by Jay Kristoff, and I absolutely love this book. It's brutal, it's bloody, it's sexy, it has a cute shadow cat character, and every page is hilarious because there's footnotes that explain the backstory, and then there's like and it's absolutely brutal because you don't know who's gonna get stabbed next. I also love the Red Church, which is pretty much like a Hogwarts for assassins because it was so brutal. You don't know who's going to get killed, who's going to get stabbed, who's going to survive and be the best assassin. And I just loved all the tutors and what Mia had to go through during her journey. It's a really exciting read and I loved every moment of it. So pick this up if you love fantasy, guys. The next one is The Flywheel by Erin, Gough. Most LGBT reads that I've read focus on coming out as a key part of the story, but not The Flywheel. In The Flywheel, Dell is already comfortable with who she is as a lesbian, but that's not the only part of her life. Her life is running her father's restaurant in his absence, and I loved how that was a big focus of the book. She was comfortable in who she was, but there are a few times when she was so sure of herself that it really grated on the nerves. If you love LGBT reads, I really recommend The Flywheel. It's such a great story. It's charming, it's hilarious. I really love Dell as well, and Erin Gough is really lovely. I've got a signed copy as well from the Writing Her Story panel. I've heard a lot about The Intern, like it's sort of Devil vs. Prada but for teenagers. And I thought it was really hilarious. Josie's just such an awkward character. It's sort of like Murphy's Law with her. Everything that can go wrong does go wrong with Josie as she starts her magazine internship. But she's so funny and charming that she totally brushes it off and keeps her cool. I love books that focus on other things other than the romance, and in The Intern, the main focus is Josie starting her internship and how it's not roses and butterflies. And it's just a really hilarious and fun coming of age story for Josie as well. I gave this one 4 stars and I can't wait to read Faking It. Now onto my 3-star reads, starting with The Road to Winter by Mark Smith. The Road to Winter was sort of pitched as Tomorrow When the War Begins for a new generation, but I was kind of disappointed that it wasn't because it's actually quite different. Now it's set in a small coastal town in Australia and it had a really great bush feel about it, but then when the apocalypse strikes, don't you want to get out of that small town and run out to safety? Here you have Finn surfing along, hunting and surviving with his dog. He doesn't really have any direction. I wish there was more around the virus and how it struck, and I wish there was more world building as well. Finn is pretty much a perfect character. He loves hunting. He's great at hunting for things, he's cut out for survival, and the key turning point is when he meets up with Rose, which is an Afghani refugee, and that really puts things into motion for him. The Road to Winter was a great survival story. It was also had a great Aussie small town feel about it, but I wish there was more character development and world building. I gave this 3 stars. I also read Black by Fleur Ferris. I enjoyed her first book, which was Risk, covering the dangers of online predators. In Black, there's a girl called Ebony, and everyone in the small town that she lives in believes that she's cursed. All these people keep dying around her and you just wonder what's going on. Is it real that Ebony's cursed? I read a lot of YA thrillers and I didn't find that this one was filled with too many twists. I also found it quite predictable in terms of a certain cop character. I felt like the romance just went way too fast for my liking. In fact, the first romance happens within the first few pages and it all just happened really quick. It gets a bit darker and thrilling towards the end, but I'm not sure whether it was worth the wait. So I gave this one 3 stars as well. I also read You Know Me Well by David Levithan and Nina LaCour. Both Mark and Kate are in different stages of their LGBT journey. Mark is in love with his gay best friend who won't give him the time of the day, and his gay best friend also meets a new man, and it's all about Mark coming to terms with his feelings. There's also Kate who's meeting her online lover for the first time, and her side of the story was a bit more advanced than Mark. Both of them sort of come into terms with their romance, with their respective romances, and there's a lot that happens in the story. For example, this whole process happens in 1 week. I didn't find it believable, especially when there's school, work, and things like that involved. These two form a really fast friendship, and all of a sudden they're like BFFs, which is really odd to me. I think I would have liked it more if it wasn't set within a week, and especially since towards the end where Mark kind of just let go of his feelings and he was suddenly okay with everything in the end. There's also an art gallery that happens with lots of money being raised, and that happens within the space of a few days as well. I just didn't find it believable. Overall, I gave this one 2.5 stars. I read With Malice by Eileen Cook. I thought this was going to be set in Italy where one of the girls is suspected of killing her best friend. But actually there's not much in the Italian setting at all. So Jill wakes up in hospital, she has a fragmented memory, and she's an unreliable narrator, and she's accused of killing her best friend. There's transcripts, there's interviews with witnesses, there's court cases. All of it pretty much paints a picture of what the media think of Jill and what you think of Jill from her perspective. I've read Dangerous Girls by Abigail House, which was a far better version of this one. Dangerous Girls kept things really thrilling and it really shocked me at the last page. In With Malice, I saw everything coming, it was quite predictable, and there wasn't much character development, especially for Jill. I found the ending was way too rushed as well. So in the end, With Malice wasn't a thriller for me. I gave it 2 stars. There's also the Boundless Sublime by Lili Wilkinson. This one is an Aussie YA thriller set around cults. Ruby meets a strange boy called Fox, and then she falls in love with him from, pretty much from first sight, and then she gets inducted into a cult. I actually found the book quite hard to believe. There were a few times when Ruby could have escaped and could have questioned things, but instead her drive to meet Fox and to stay with Fox and to be with him kind of made her throw all her decision making out the window. Things get weirder and weirder in the Boundless Sublime. They start from eating paleo food, which isn't weird at all, but they start from eating paleo food to absorbing sunlight to doing meditation practices, which was pretty funny because the cult is kind of like a hybrid of all of these. But then things get really, really sick and twisted, and I was quite surprised by how dark it went towards the end. Too bad I didn't believe half of it though, especially because Ruby felt like such a gullible character. I'm like, girl, why don't you just run away from them and get away? And because of that, I gave this book 2 stars. The last book I read was The Diet Starts on Monday by Tamar Chnohorkian. Tamar was one of the panelists of the Writing Her Story panel, which I moderated in Sydney earlier this month. The Diet Starts on Monday is about an Armenian-Australian girl who's overweight, but she's really determined to lose weight and to show all her classmates that the bullying won't affect her. It's quite inspirational in a sense, but I really struggled with the writing. I love the diversity and how it was set in Western Sydney made up with lots and lots of cultures, and I liked how really heavily featured the Armenian culture with the food and the mannerisms as well. I just felt like the story moved too fast again, and there were quite a few grammatical mistakes. I wasn't really a fan of Zara either because of the way that she viewed other people. She was quite judgmental, which was sort of a reflection of herself in a sense. I gave The Diet Starts on Monday 2 stars. I also read another 2 books from the library. The first was The Beauty in the Walking by James Maloney. It was another Aussie YA read that I quite enjoyed because it was about the male character with a disability. He's sick of people just putting him down all the time and babying him and trying to help him. He has a disability as well, but it was quite inspirational because it shows that if you put your mind to it, you can achieve something. You can inspire people. I gave that one 4 stars. I also read The Vanishing Throne by Elizabeth May. It's the sequel to The Falconer. I gave this one 5 stars. I thought it was excellent, just how it was such a darker fae read and everything was amped up, and I absolutely loved it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please subscribe and give me a thumbs up. Thanks guys, I'll see you next time. Bye.